All right, yes. Okay. All right, this is Bishop Bowser, Slow Motion with Bishop Bowser and the Shaphat Outreach Podcast. And we thank the Lord for each and every one of you that's going to come on. And we're going to ask right now that those that going to come in, and we're going to wait for a little minute for people to come on in and make sure that we getting folks live streaming here. And I'm gonna go and check and make sure that I am live streaming on the right page. Because this, y'all know how this Facebook work. You think you live streaming and you really not. Yeah, there we go. We're live. We're live. All right. So right now, anybody that's signing on, we got a live podcast that's we're gonna be doing, Slow Motion with Bishop Bowser. And what I want folks to do as you come in, to tag somebody, share this, share with your network, share with your friends, share with those that are coming in. So we want to give you a few minutes to come on in here before we get started, because we have a good one for you and we don't want you to miss this. So we see a few more people coming in. So those of you that coming in, tag a friend, share this live feed on your Facebook page, because my guest tonight on Slow Motion with Bishop Bowser is Michael Singletary, a former Central City Gangster and 5'9" Brim, or the South Side, whatever term you want to use. But we have, we go way back. we take you back to the beginning of stuff, man. We back in the 70s and stuff, when it was fun to game bang, then it got dangerous.
Yeah, that
all
part.
All you used to do is fight at first, and then Lord, you couldn't even go to a party without getting shot. Or getting shot at or something. Yeah. So we most definitely, we thank the Lord for each of you that are coming on. And so I want to go ahead and get this thing started here. I want to thank you, Brother Michael Singletary, for coming on with us and coming live on with us today with us. Slow Motion with Bishop Bowser is our Shaphat Outreach podcast. So we do a podcast and we do live stream, and we also post it on Facebook and so on, just, to try to, get these messages out. So we need everyone. We need all of you that are part of this. Let's get the message out about this thing. We have a good one for you tonight. So slow motion means we slow down and take it a little slower, right? Because when you're on social media and when you're looking at news, everybody just speeding through stuff, right? And folks don't even have time. If it ain't a picture or 15-second or 30-second video, they gone, man. So and then when it comes to issues, sometimes people skip over the facts, right? And so we're like, let's slow this thing down and let's get it right, right? So this is Slow Motion with Bishop Bowser, and I have Brother Michael Singletary with me. Welcome to the show, Brother Michael.
Hey, check this out, man. Thank you for having me, my brother. Thank you, Brother Bishop. Man, this is, I want to say that this is a blessing because, and we're going to talk about, some of the history and some of the things that went on back in the days and how it led up to some of the, some of the more detrimental things that went on in our neighborhood. But I really appreciate you for having me. I appreciate Michael Willis for recommending me coming on. Crazy Mike, yeah, Crazy Mike, him, Kangaroo, him, Victor. I'm gonna call them by their government names. Michael Willis, Victor, Linnell Allen, and many others. Man, I really appreciate those brothers for reaching out to me and saying, "Hey, Mike, you need to talk to Brother Bishop and get that history, especially that history between Central City and West Coast." You know what I mean? Because that particular part of the game is very vital. And there's a lot of people that knows about the history between the two neighborhoods. And then how everything trickled to other neighborhoods thereafter. But Central City, the Central City story is very unique within itself. You know what I mean? And we well, let me put it out there, because a lot of, there's a lot of brothers who end up growing up in West Coast, and they end up moving to other neighborhoods and start representing other neighborhoods, and they don't want to tell they don't want to tell their true history about where they really come from.
There you go. Tell it, man. Tell it like it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of brothers. I ain't got me myself. Let me just speak on me, and then the other brothers, whoever they are, you dig what I'm saying? They can speak on their own history. But the thing for me, my first experience with, and I don't want to say gang, my first experience with hanging around a bunch of brothers that I looked up to started in West Coast. It started at Memorial Park because my mother, we lived on 33rd Street. And we moved to 33rd Street in 1974. And my brother and I, my brother Camille and my younger brother Derek, rest in peace, and my older brother Levan, we all went to Stockton.
Okay.
So we went to Stockton at that particular time, and you had a lot of brothers that was going to Stockton back in those days. That at that particular time, a lot of those brothers wasn't even cripping at the time because we were young, and we were all friends, and we played baseball together. My Pop Warner days started actually at Balboa when we were the Vikings in 1975.
I forgot about that.
You see what I'm saying?
I mentioned baseball, but football too.
Football, when we practiced at Morley Field. And it was only
Balboa Park.
Balboa Park and Morley Field, So that's where it started for me. So I'm gonna let it be known, I'm originally from West Coast LTD. My thing is, but I never cripped.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? At the time it was West Coast LTD, and then after the car club, because when I was growing up, my cousin Teeny Luckett, Teeny. And her and Big Sophie and a lot of the homegirls from back in the days, and she had wrote down some names for me to give to you today. But I remember a lot of the brothers and sisters back then. Me and my cousin Flint, we were younger, and I'm talking about young, Bishop. We were like 9, 10 years old. And my cousin, because she had to literally babysit us when she wanted to go out to the parties. And they were original West Coast Criplets. Who they dragging with them? So they got me and my cousin, and back in the days, Monica and BB and them related to Pinochle, the Kings, and all them. They used to throw a lot of parties. What's the sister name? Sin from the Coast. Mary Edgerton and all them. There were so many parties. There were so many parties going on in the coast. So me and my cousin would tag along behind my cousin Teeny and all her homegirls. And this is where I started. Yeah, and this is where I started hanging out and start meeting the brothers like the Big Monks and the Poochies, yourself, Smiling Owl, and sitting Sitting Bull, and just there's one thing about West Coast. There are just too many names to mention.
Exactly. You be on the set for a long time and still don't meet all your homies.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But I remember Mailman Cuckoo. The interview that you did with Cuckoo last week, man, it really for me it was emotional because Cuckoo and his brother John, when they stayed on 32nd right there, right just before, where the store was at right there.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Back in the day, I remember me and
hang out over there.
Yeah. I think one of them had a girl had a female that stayed on that street, but this was like 77, 76, 77. And I remember me and my cousin still in the car. And we just joyriding. And we joyriding, having a good time. We stole the car because because it's a Friday, Saturday night, we trying to get a ride to the Palisades skating ring, right? Okay. And this is before right. So this is I'm speaking before the actual West Coast 5-9, because at that particular time, Central City was Central City Gangsters, but me and my family, we hadn't moved over across the bridge to 32nd yet. We were still on 33rd Street. Leswood, big what's Les Wood? what's Westwood's brother's name?
Kurt.
Big Kirk, Chucky and all. I mean, there were that street.
Yeah,
Kevin
Chucky's on too. Chucky's watching.
Yeah, you know, Michael Waters and all them. That street was 33rd Street. There were just so many families up and down that street. And one family that moved across the bridge with us and ended up claiming 5-9 as well was the my homeboy Foley, Reese, and all them, their family. Their uncle was the brother that owns the Black Contracting Association on Imperial. And they had owned a couple of homes on 33rd Street. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they stayed on 33rd back in those days as well. So, so I remember we stole a car and Cuckoo took it from us. What y'all little brothers, he used another term back then, but what y'all little brothers doing with this car? Give me this car. I remember him taking it from us, him and Raw Dog, rest in peace.
Okay.
Him and Pat, you know what I mean? And so my affiliation with West Coast goes back that far.
Amen.
You know what I mean? It goes back that far. And my grandmother lived on G Street, and then Isaac, Baby Bear, and all them. Those are my cousins.
And all them,
those are my cousins. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So,
That's you did tell me.
Yeah. So that's where my affiliation. It was Crazy Mike, Stacy Singleton, Shelton Singleton, Duke, Linnell Allen, Cheney Boy, White Mike, like I say, it's just so many others. You know what I'm saying? Pat Dunn, Lil Dirt, Big Dirt. You remember the two brothers that ended up becoming police officers, David King and Mark King?
Sheriff,
they stayed right there next to Sawyer Brothers.
Yeah, because Jerome, I think it was Jerome King that went to the base pros and baseball.
Yeah, he ended up playing baseball.
And he came back, became a sheriff, and then David did.
No, David became a sheriff, but my mother was a marshal at the time. My mother was a marshal at the time.
Right.
And my mother recruited Jerome.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? So when he became a marshal,
so he was a marshal, and David
he was a marshal first.
Okay.
He was a marshal first.
Okay.
He was a warrant officer, because back in those days, remember, if you had a warrant, the marshals is coming to get you. Remember them white cars and they had the big stars on them? Yeah, back in those days. Yeah, so if you see the marshal coming, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
So all them brothers, so all them Aaron Simpson's brothers my age, though a little younger than me, Holly Fu, his brother Uzi, their whole family, daddy, just the whole West Coast. A lot of those brothers was my homeboys. Timothy
Chucky said that Mark King just passed. I didn't even know that. I'm just hearing that right now.
Mark just passed?
I don't know. That's what Chucky just said. He said that Mark King just passed. That's David Jones' brother. Yeah, I didn't know that. Wow. And we're the same age, me and Mark was.
Damn, rest in peace. So that Mark was cool too. He was a good brother, man.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
That's sad to hear.
Chuck. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Chucky, for that. Yeah, man. Damn, but but hey, man, the longer we live, the more we're gonna lose. But those are the families that we grew up. But see, my transition in the Central City 5-9 started in '76. My mother moved. We just moved 2 blocks across the bridge to 35th. And I remember Cuckoo saying that, Coco, excuse me, Cuckoo, I don't mean no disrespect, big homie. Cuckoo said that once you cross that bridge to 35th, that's when it was on. My mother moved to 35th in Valley. So when my mother moved to 35th and Valley, and it was late '76, it was like near my birthday, November, December. So we was going into '77. And at the time, Richard Mays stayed on that street too. Him,
Okay. Oh yeah, him and Valerie, yeah. We used to go over there all the time.
Yeah, him and Valerie, they stayed on that street. But we ended up moving next door to what would end up being my big homie, Randy Butler and Reggie Butler. They was, you know, and Randy was Central City at the time. So we started hanging out. So when we would go to the boys club during the summertime still, we would leave 35th, go across the bridge, go still kick it. I'd go all the way to 26th Street and still kick it with Stacy and Crazy Mike and all the homies over there. And when I would come home in the early evening, you know, my curiosity, you know, and my inquisitiveness took me to Ocean View Park. So, you know, when I started hanging out at Ocean View Park, I got the stare downs, like, who was this little dude? And, you know, who was your peoples, where you from, and all that type of, you know, stuff. You know, I'm just a little dude at the time, 10, 11 years old, you know. And during those days, I'm running into the big John Masseys, the Hardy Smiths, the Dexter Johnsons, the Brian Jacksons, you know, the Reggie Booker. Reggie Booker is originally from Central City, but he ended up being from Lincoln Park before he died. Keith George, rest in peace, Big Michael Lee, Big Jimmy Jones, just so many brothers from 5'9", Michael Myers, Smokey Johnson, Wayne Moore, but how there's so many. These are the people that I'm starting to kick it with now.
Right.
So it was Dexter Johnson. If you know Nikki Johnson, if you know the Johnson family, Russell Johnson, Nikki Johnson, you know, so it was Dexter that actually took me under his wing at this particular time. And him and Richard Mays was having a tug of war with me, because Richard Mays was this West Coast crip, you know, and Richard Mays was good with his hands. You know what I mean? And I started hanging out with Dexter and them. So when I started hanging out with Dexter and them, we would hang out at I always call the baby side of Ocean View Park. We call that the Central City side, Bishop. And on top, you know where the cemetery, the mausoleum is, that bathroom on Central City at the top of the hill. That's where the Central City homeboys would kick it at. Because Dexter Johnson, they stayed on Superba Street, and we would walk whenever the bands was down at Ocean View on Sunday, or if something was just happening on a Friday night, just going to go hang out with some girls at the park, we would always walk from Dexter's house or ride our bikes or whatever we had at that particular time and go kick it on that side of the park. Everybody would trickle down and go kick it in front of the wreck every once in a while. But when you kicked it in front of the wreck back in those days, the police would come down there, rush the park, harass people. We found it safer to be up on top of the park in the back right there. And that's why I always refer to that side of the park as the Central City side, because that's where I started kicking it with the homies. So it went fast. It went from Central City. I was there in 77. I got a picture of me and my cousin Flint that Teeny sent me. And we took this picture on 28th and Harrison in the coast. And me and Flint was only 11, 12 years old. And they had just started. I remember Country, Michael Myers, and a couple other brothers coming around, and they just started just passing out red flags. But at the time, me being young, I'm used to the black flag, because that's what Central City countered from West Coast, wearing the blue ones. Remember, West Coast would wear the blue khaki suits, the green khaki suits with blue rags, the AC Doocies, the leather jackets. And the Central City homies would wear the beige khaki suits, Levi jeans, leather jackets, and that's what we used to wear. So my first encounter with a West Coast and what it would end up being 5'9" encounter, I never forget this. It was about 30 or 40 brothers from West Coast. And they had about 5 or 6 Dobermans with them. Doberman dogs. I don't know where they got the dogs at. But they coming down, they stand right there on 40th in Ocean View. This is like 77, about 78, maybe close to 79. And y'all had a chant that y'all used to sing. You know, they had a chant that they were singing, and they all had on blue. three-piece suits. Every last one of them.
That mercy. I know I wasn't part of that group.
But I'm just saying, I remember, and we sitting up on top of the park. So
if something special going on or something, but
no, it was something crack. It was a Sunday. It was something was cracking the bands was happening at the park at the time. So at the time, the homie Bird, Eugene Smith, rest in peace, 661, a lot of homies, they was low riding at the time. And like I said, the low rider thing is what always intrigued me. I used to just love the cars. That's what intrigued me about West Coast, about LTD. You know what I'm saying? I remember Elvis P. Lloyd had a cold car back in those days. Rest in peace to Elvis. And the lowriders was pulling up in the parking lot, and all I seen was the homies come rushing down off the park. And they came rushing down off the park, and everybody got in the middle of 40th and Ocean View right there and stopped traffic, and them brothers was out there chumping. You know what I'm saying? And it was, for me, being a little dude, I'm not gonna go get into that. I'm representing Central City 5-9, but I'm not gonna go over here and get it. I'm sitting here watching. I mean, they chunking them. They in the middle of the street getting down. People running, the girls are screaming, ah! Then over here, you got a couple of sisters fighting. But back in those particular days, you didn't have to worry about getting killed.
Right.
You didn't have to. Yeah, whoever win or lose, you're gonna live and you're gonna be able to fight another day.
Exactly.
And it was the same thing when we went to the parties. One party that I remember specifically was in 1980. Monica and BB had a party on Ocean View. On Imperial. Their mama stayed right there on Imperial, going towards St. Stephen's Church. Now who come break up the party? West Coast come break up the party. I think at that particular time, Lincoln Park had already started CL Patrol. They came out with Lincoln Park Pyru, and I don't think the Skyline Boys had even came out yet. But the hood was out, because I remember my homeboy Reggie Booker and Trey Dog, rest in peace, from neighborhood getting into a heads-up fight in the middle of the Four Corners right there by Green Cat. And my cousin Teeny is telling me and my cousin Flint, y'all stay right here, do not move. But me, I'm just intrigued with them. I gotta go see this. And at the time, Reggie Booker standing way up here and Trey Dog way down here, but they in the street chunking them heads. It was every time I went to a party, it was a heads-up fight.
How old were you back then?
I think I was 12 or 13, Bishop.
Okay.
I think I was 12 or 13. I'm 50, I'm going on 54.
How were when you, so I know like you were being influenced by it during that time. When do you think it was when you became deep into it, hardcore? I think for me, Bishop, I think for me, when I really got into it, where I started seeking my own fades and heads up, I was probably around 14 or 15. Okay.
I was around 14 or 15.
And what was your relationship, and so at that time, you claiming Brims, or what were you claiming?
No, I was claiming 5'9" at that time.
And so, and so what was your relationship with all the homies from the coast that you used to know and hang out with and things like that?
Basically it was still the same, but there was still a couple of homies that took exception to me start claiming 5'9". I ain't gonna say their names because I got down with all of them. You know what I mean? We go to Memorial Park. I'm gonna catch a fade. Now, I'm not gonna pat myself on the back, but everybody in San Diego know that me and my brothers, nigga, we gonna chunk them heads up. Win, lose, or draw.
Exactly.
Yeah, every last one of us. So some of the homies from West Coast took exception to it. But my original homies, they oh shit, that's Mike, that's the homie. Whenever I still was welcome in the coast in certain places, and there was a couple of times I was kicking it because me and Dwayne Wicker, rest in peace. I'm starting to get sick of saying rest in peace. But me and Dwayne Wicker, and a couple other nasty what is Smooth's brother name? Norm, and Nasty Norm, Smooth, Delroy, and all those type of brothers, you know what I'm saying? Those dudes were still my homies. Okay. So, you know, whenever I would see them, they would just mock me or, oh, nigga, you done claiming the other side. Yeah, I'm claiming the other side. So what? Let's have a beer and let's kick. And that's what we used to do. But then again, you did have a couple of brothers from the coast would be like, well, Mike, now that you claiming that, you're going to have to show me what that's all about. Okay, what's happening? You know what I mean? And that's one thing that 5'9" always had a reputation was we was gonna stand up, we was gonna chunk them heads up. You know what I'm saying? And that was
one of the things. Go ahead.
No. But I was going to say, but that was one of the things that that was one of the reputations that we had as a neighborhood at that time.
Right. And you know, and that's one of the things. I was even talking to a younger gentleman from 5'9". Now he's in 20s, but when we're talking, he's in the early 20s and teens and things like that. And we're talking about, you know, the difference between the coast and 5'9", right? And he was like, man, we pretty much the same.
I was just about to say there really is no difference.
All have alleys.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that because
they're divided into 15.
Yes, sir. And there really wasn't a difference. But one thing that that you and Cuckoo touched on was that what ended up happening between the two neighborhoods was that everybody was basically related. So in our early years, in the early history of West Coast of 5'9", you know, you didn't hear about us shooting and trying to gun down each other.
Right.
Because okay, you know, okay, that's Corn. Okay, that's the big homie Corn. You know, if I got a pistol, I can't shoot him. That's my homie.
Right.
You know, I found myself once the gunplay came into it, you know, because when the gunplay came into it, I was still in it. You know, so I remember Crazy Mike telling me that that Ricky Weaver, that Sweets told him, hey, dude, it ain't no more fighting. We playing with these. And I had the same conversation with my homeboy Big Man Taylor back in the days when I was about 17 or 18. You know, I'm ranting and raving. Something happened. I'm ranting and raving. I got to get out with this dude over here. But at the time, it was a brother from the hood, from neighborhood, that I wanted to catch a fade with. And my homeboy Man was telling me, like, Mike, don't go over there tripping. He said these dudes playing with pistols, and it was right around the time the pistol play really started right around the time when that happened with Ricky Sykes and when that happened with with Carl with Baby Monk. And then after those particular situations started happening, that's when the gunplay really started. You know what I'm saying? You know, you got brothers from over here out that way that really started playing with them pistols first. I ain't gonna say their names, but they start playing with them pistols. You dig what I'm saying? And then once it became dangerous, because I was shot, I was stabbed. You know, I got a zipper. And I dished out my fair share of it. I'm not proud of it. Because if you have a conscience, when you do something to somebody like that, even if it's in the name of West Coast 5'9", Lincoln Park, whatever it is that you're representing, if you got a conscience like I did have, some of those things tend to bother you a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, we did have
some, man, you know, because they don't, I always say to them, don't get a conscience. You know, you out here riding now, you think it ain't about nothing, but these have consequences, even if you get away.
Yes, sir.
Never do time for any of this stuff. You got to live with it. And if you ever get a conscience, it makes it even worse. And like Cuckoo said, you know, a lot of us are suffering from trauma. We thought that was normal, right? You know, all the stuff that we've been through, seen and done and so on. You have to live with a lot of that, you know, with me. Sir. You know, myself getting in church and really getting the conscience and love life and understand what humanity is all about. It's like, Lord, you know, it bothers you. You know, it's hard. And so, you know, that's what I'm hoping. I'm glad you're mentioning that, man.
You know, because for me, it started, you know, when I got to a point to where I didn't care, that's when I had to start redirecting my thinking.
Amen.
You know what I'm saying? Because unfortunately, we know a whole lot of people that we grew up with who end up becoming cold-blooded killers, and who didn't care. They didn't care who they shot. They didn't care who they stabbed. They didn't care who they hit in the head with a bat. They didn't, and they enjoyed it. And that's and for me, that's when it started becoming. I mean, it started becoming dangerous to myself being along with my brothers, because my younger brother got killed 10 years ago.
Okay.
He had a stroke standing on the corner on Ocean View. Some little young brothers, they said some brothers, there's some younger brothers from West Coast, or it could have been some younger brothers from the hood. For me, it don't matter. It was just it was just the fact that, you know, him being 41 years old at the time, being sick, not being an active gang member, getting caught up in some crossfire. When I lost my younger brother, and I had already been doing a lot of activism and a lot of work in the neighborhood in reference to these kids, and you know, trying to, you know, along with Stacy Butler and a host of other brothers, Conrad Harris, Stephon Wilson, where we founded Overcoming Gangs and Beyond, and we were really pushing the line in the neighborhood, like, hey, you know, this has to stop now, because now you got innocent people getting killed, because nobody's coming to the table with these things no more. Everybody's pulling out, busting. And I'm gonna say this: who's ever listening, you brothers that's out there that are too quick to pull a gun, that doesn't prove that you're a man. You killing somebody doesn't prove anything. All it proves to people around you, and all it proves to society, is that you're able to murder somebody in cold blood. You don't get no stripes for that. And these are the things that, and these are some of the affirmations that I was pushing with these young kids. Okay, you going out here shooting this brother, but what are you shooting him for? You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna touch on something else. I don't know if you got Caucasian followers, but the brother Big U up in the brother Kev Mack up in LA from 60 said that there was when Tookie Williams died, when the state murdered him, and they had his funeral right on Western, right in the middle of South Central LA. The police was there, at the church, and they had blocked off the street. And the brother said, "It's really messed up that the police are here to keep us from killing us." And what he meant by that was to keep a black man, somebody who looks like you and I. We got these people in these blue uniforms who hate us, who don't like us. They rather not be here, but they're here to keep us from killing us. And then the camera panned off to a group of white people and a group of white journalists who didn't care about Tookie Williams, but they were there just to cover the story. And those people were walking around South Central Los Angeles, talking to other black people without a care. You know why? Because in our own neighborhoods, they feel more safer than a black man.
That's right, man. And you know, it's amazing, you know, because I was thinking about when you was talking about overcoming gangs and all the people that you was missing with that, and we got to always give props and respect for that, right? You know, those and I say that because, like, a lot of organizations that's really established by grassroots folks that's from the streets that want to make a difference, we realize, like, you know what, it was wrong what we're doing. Let's try to reach out to the younger generation, let them know that it's wrong, and help them to change their mindset and behaviors, right? But you know, when you have, like yourself, you know, when you're working, you have a family, you're doing all these different kind of things, we need that support and those resources. And the thing that bothers me the most is that two things. One is that and I'm right down with it too, when, you know, protests against police killing a brother, you know, and every organization be out there making noise and saying things, but then the community violence that we have in our community, of us killing each other, quiet as what they used to say, church house mouse, and that bothers me that, these organizations that act like they care about us and care about the community and getting a lot of this funding from these liberal organizations, white liberal organizations that want to support, but they support them for that, but they will not put resources in to fight against bringing peace in our community and empowering our community to stop the violence, because they want us to kill each other. And now but a lot of these organizations, they hate me for this because I believe in speaking truth, but a lot of these organizations right in our community claim to be for you. We fighting for criminal justice reform, fighting for this, but they don't care about brothers killing each other. Right. And they don't, I'm out there, when you're out there, you don't get that support. They're not there, and especially the resources. And that's what we got to change, man, because, we do need resources. We do need support and help so that we can dedicate our full-time resources into this. That's why I do what I do. And I really appreciate Overcoming Gangs, and especially, Travis Stocking. I know, he was part of it also.
Travis was an original founder. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't mention him, but he was the original founder. Yeah.
Right. And Stefan Wilson, man, I really appreciate him because he's always still in communication. He still cares about the community, what's going on and things like that. But, it's really like there's a lack of moral support and a lack of financial support when it comes to that. And I really believe that we got to come together to do this. We got to quit being at it with each other and the envy, the jealousy, whatever it is that causes us, even that's supposed to be maturing out of that stuff, that we can work together to really bring it together. And I know one of my dreams is to see, if we're going to have a ceasefire, if we're going to have some of these different rivalries in the gang violence and things like that, put a squash and say, you know what, we're going to stop that. I would love to see, and I believe it's possible, 5-9 the Coast doing that, man. And of course, it means reaching the younger generation, the younger group of young men, because the bottom line is a lot of them don't want to do it, right? They don't want, who was it? Cook is one of them that was even saying that a lot of them don't want to do it, because you got, like you said, some of those ones that don't care about nothing that want to do it. And so they're out there doing it, even though they don't want to do it. And I know they would love to just walk anywhere in their community without worrying about being shot or killed or anything like that. And it's possible, but it just takes work, and we got to start having those hard conversations, quit trying to play hard and I'm from the streets and all this other kind of stuff. And let's get real, man. We trying to save lives here.
And that's been my primary goal. And I want to go back to talking about the lack of community resources, because that was one of the main things that Overcoming Gangs was fighting for. How are we going to tell these young men and women to redirect their lives, to redirect their thinking, when there's no resources to assist them in doing that? That was number one. Now, I was making a point about my brother when he got killed. Let me get back to that as well.
Okay.
When my brother got killed, the first thing I did was I went to the neighborhood, and I had a little community forum with who I knew could talk to the little brothers in my neighborhood. And I told them, I said, I do not want no acts of vengeance or retaliation for my brother's death. I said, my brother ain't gonna die in vain like that, because I didn't want no other young man to get killed just because he's from we gonna go over here and ride, and then you got a young man who had nothing to do with my brother's death, a young woman who had nothing to do with my brother's death. And you got these knuckleheads, drunk, high, smoke. They still smoking water out there, Bishop. And they're making these irrational decisions. And, oh, he got on blue. We're going to go over there, pull up, blah, 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 and lay him down or lay her down. Right. You know what I'm saying? In retaliation for a life that ain't never coming back. You dig what I'm saying? So, and I pushed the line on that. And now, had it happened 10 years earlier, I don't know if I would have had that same mindset.
Right. That's right.
I was at a different place. I was at a different place in my life at that particular time. And when I knew that I was serious about not only changing my life and my situation, but assisting some others in doing it, was the first time I walked away from a fight. And the brother man, I went home and I damn near cried, Bishop. I was like, man, I should have just took off on him. But because I was able to walk away and live another day, and him also, it made it easier for me. It made it easier for me to do it again if I had to do it.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You know what I mean? So I was able to put aside some of my differences, and anybody from West Coast, from the hood, from Lincoln Park, anybody that know me, from Skyline, from Little Africa, from Emerald Hills Park, from East Dago Mob, any original set, Big Jack from Linda Vista, anybody would tell you that my brothers and I, we never set tripped on nobody. We was just from 5'9". We was from Central City.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
To do that without facing anything. I mean,
right. It wasn't
where I'm from.
Right, but it wasn't a set trip thing, especially with the coast at the time. I did have a few brothers from the coast that when I seen them, it was on site, but we were still doing this. You know what I'm saying? So my mentality wasn't, if I see A, B, C, D, and E, I'm gonna gun him down. No, when I see A, B, C, and D and him, I'm gonna break his jaw. That was my mentality.
Right.
Until it went to the gunplay. And it went to the gunplay because the majority of the brothers who started gang banging, who took it there, they were cowards. They were sissies. And that's the reason why they had to pull out the pistols and start busting. You know what I'm saying? Because they were scared to do the hand thing. One thing that I tell people, I say West Coast is the original set out of San Diego. And West Coast back in those days, I can almost assume had to be 300 or 400 deep.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know because I was there. I graduated from Memorial Junior High School. I was on that part, 75% of my life during a young kid. You know what I mean? And so, even for us, and do you remember the Rummy House?
Yeah, well, yeah, I remember the Rummy House. Yeah, we had to tear that place up a few times.
Yeah, but see, the Rummy House was really where the blood car started, because Big Country came down here, him and some other bloods from Six Deuce Brims, from Swans and all that, came down to San Diego. Smokey Johnson and Michael Myers, and was in the Rummy House. They was from the other side, like you say, getting into it. The brothers from the coast coming up to the Rummy House, doing what they do, jumping through the windows, chasing people all through the apartments and everything. A lot of
disrespected. That's why, man.
Yeah, exactly. Right, but a lot of people don't understand that history, where it actually started.
Yeah.
You see, where the blood. A lot of people don't realize the blood car actually started in West Coast as a defense mechanism to fight with the coasters at that particular time. Because when they got out the Rummy House and Big Country ended up staying here, he ended up going back to LA, coming back. He went back to LA because his brother got killed, Little Country.
Okay.
And you can look at Kid Mac videos because they talk about that story as well. So when Country came back, he got with the homies, with Smokey Michael and Michael Little John. I can name so many of them. And that's when them brothers came out and said, you know what, this is we Brimsons now, we Bloods, it's 5'9". And I want to say that happened in 76. I want to say it happened in 77, but it was 77 or 76. One of my older homies can correct me on the year. But I was there when it happened.
Right. Hey, and Chucky said, "Can't no bridge or color stop love for you, Mike. You will always be my brother." Chucky,
Chucky, that's my partner, man. I love him to death. And ask him, do he need a hug?
Do you need a hug, Chuck?
I love you, Chuck.
We got it. Yeah, for sure.
But you got a lot of brothers from these neighborhoods that have that love for me as I do for them,
right.
because it is a respect thing. It has always been a respect thing. You know what I'm saying? And like
Right.
I said, my homeboy Fabulous Frankie, you know Frankie Tolbert, who's a pastor now.
Oh, yeah, that's my buddy.
Yeah, now Frankie original Central City 5'9" as well. And it was Frankie,
Charlie.
right. And it was Frankie at the time, Dexter Johnson. If you knew anything about Dexter back in the days, Dexter was just a cool, kept his Jerry. Dexter was just smooth. He was a ladies' man. All the brothers from West Coast loved him. Of course, he was selling the water, dipping the sticks back in the days. And Dexter gave me my first nickname, Pimpin' Mike. You know, I ain't no pimp. I was only 10, 11 years old. But I was fascinated with dressing as well. Because the National Dollar Store in Outer Square, National Dollar Store in Outer Square used to have all the Levi's, all the corduroys, all the velour sweaters, the golf hats, the bomber jackets, the member-only jackets. I used to like to get dressed. As a matter of fact, I used to run into Big Monk, Poochie, Crazy Crip. I used to run into them brothers all the time at the International Boot Store downtown when I was going down there buying my biscuits.
Y'all went down there. Oh yeah, that's where we went, Romeo's and all that. Yeah. And Michael Willis said, "Spike Mike, speak on it. All glory to God, my brother."
That's right. Yeah. And him and Stacy, him and Stacy called me Spicy Mike. They would call me Spike. I have so many different names coming up. You know what I mean? You know, and then my name ended up, it went from pro ball, and then right now, all my brothers, everybody who know me, they know me by the ball game. So that's my handle, the ball game. You know, I played football at Lincoln, baseball, and
share with us a little bit about that, because you did go, man. I really appreciate that, man. And it would be a model for those who want to pursue their education and things like that, man. But that's amazing. People need to hear that, right? So
okay,
share a little bit about the educational background, your pursuits, and that.
And my early years, I ended up going to City College, and I played football at City College, and I played baseball there as well. And I end up obtaining my associate's degree. So I graduated from Lincoln High School in '86. In '87, I caught a case. I caught a shooting. Me and my brother caught a shooting, an attempted murder case, and we end up being in jail for about 13 months fighting the case. But while we was fighting the case, they ended up sending me on a 90-day observation to Chino.
Okay.
That's where it got real for me. Because in those halls, when them niggas, I'm like, where the blood's at? I'm only 18 and 19 at the time, right? So that's when it got. I'm like, and then so one of the guards pulled me. You a blood? Yeah, you in the wrong spot. They took me where all the bloods was at. But anyway, I did a 90-day op. I end up going back to court. They dropped the shooting case. They dropped the witnesses end up not coming to court. They dropped the case on me and my brother, and I subsequently ended up getting out, but they had us on probation. I ended up going back to City College. I got back on the baseball team. I played baseball at City College. And then in '93, I got hired on with the city of San Diego.
Cool.
So I got hired on with the city of San Diego Park and Rec. My first job was at Ocean View Park. Neil Petty's, Frank McBride, and all them brothers. Back in those days, that's when all you had to do was fill out an application. They took it downtown. I got hired. And so a couple of years later, I ended up going back to school, and I did all my prerequisites. I did all my math. I did my English, and subsequently, hold on. So subsequently,
and while you're doing that,
I end up.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
I end up graduating.
Yeah, I can see it.
I end up graduating, but I have a master's degree as well. But I got my bachelor's degree. I have 2 associate's degree, and I have a master's degree now. And
that's awesome.
Right.
That's awesome.
and as I was going, when I start going to school and I start really learning, paying attention, I start dealing with different people, different personalities. I was receptive to different perspectives.
Right.
And that's when I start learning. I think for me, that's when I start eternalizing myself being something.
How old were you?
I was, I'm 53. When I graduated with my degree, I was 29.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And when I graduated with my master's degree, I was 46.
Amen. Never too late. That's for sure.
No, never too late.
I just want to catch some more comments before you hold your thought. Because I want to just catch some. Titus Fitch was saying that when we was talking about downtown, the Universal Boot Shop and Western Hats, those are San Diego landmarks. Let me see who else. Titus Fitch said Anthony Williams, E-Dubs, Big Brother, Big Brother Coach City College. I played up there too. and we're gonna have Kevin Williams on. Hopefully we get him on Sunday. That's his dad. Curtis Howard. Kurt said, never met Brother Michael, but he sounds pretty solid and wise from his past. Props. And that's Kurt Dog from formerly from Neighborhood Crips. And so
tell Kirk, I know Kirk know me. Yeah, I know Kirk.
and Titus Fitcher also said, I went to City College with Mike in 98 and 99.
Yeah.
So go ahead, bro. Well, I just want to try to catch some of the comments that's on there. Appreciate you guys commenting and sharing. Really appreciate that.
When I went, but see, when I was there in 98, 99, I was there getting the certification. I had already graduated. I had already had my associate degree. And
I'm sorry. He's telling crazy Kev. Okay, I'll tell him that Titus. I will and Kent if we can catch up with him. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, man.
No, that's all good. So like I said, those things is what started redirecting my thinking. And like I was saying, I wanted to be something other than known as a knucklehead gangbanger or a dope slinger and all these types of things. Because my mother and I, we would have a lot of talks, and my mother would always say, all I want for you and your brothers to do is get an education and be good men. My mother used to say that to me and my brothers all the time. And my mother always caught me and my brothers' backs, because growing up through the years with the hustling, the dope slinging, the girls coming in and out the house, my mother raised 6 boys. She raised her 5 plus my cousin Flint. And then ended up raising my cousin Dizone, my god brother ICB, my cousin Mark. My mother had a house full of boys all the time. So my mother had this. My mother was real protective of us. Now that I look back.
Amen.
But my mother always told me, because she was in law enforcement, she said, my mother would tell my brothers and I, if you guys go to jail, I'm not coming to visit you. I'm not putting no money on your books, because that's not how I raised you guys to be. So, my mother, and when my mother, and I will remember, my mother would come into me and my brother's rooms and confiscate our red rags. I think me and my brothers had to go up to National Dollar Store for 3 or 4 years straight, had to keep buying red flags. My mom was taking, moms was taking them, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, she would take them, and and back in those days, we sometimes, and it goes back to that starching up your jeans starching them up with that starch and having them stand up and put your jeans on, put your shirt on, put a red flag in your pocket. For some of the brothers from the hood and coast, they put a blue one in theirs. The brothers from Lincoln Park put a green one in theirs. And, you step out and you go out and you represent your neighborhood, go to the house parties, have a good time. And it's those, sometimes I just wish I could snap my fingers and just go back and revisit those days and kind of tweak a couple of things here or there. Because Michael Willis comes over to my house once a week. I talk, Mike is one of my best friends. Mike is like a big brother to me. I'll kill for Mike. Him and Stacy and Shelton and Dookie Stick, Linnell Allen, my cousin Trey 8 from Neighborhood, Derek. You know, I got certain homies from the car. I got homies from East Dago mob that, you know, little brothers that when I stayed on 44th Street used to come up to my house, and they were young little Crips. I would have 7 or 8 of them at my apartment with me, just, you know, just giving them the game. They knew where I was from, but the little brothers, they just enjoyed my company, me teaching them, and then I enjoyed their company. You know what I'm saying? And so I was able to navigate through all the neighborhoods, you know, and with not only respecting those hoods, but also with the notion, okay, if it do go down, run up. Who's first? Win, lose, or draw. And I got that from Poochie. I got that from Richard Mays. I got that from Daryl Tolliver. I got that from my homeboy Frankie Tolbert. I got that from Kenny White. I got that from Big Jim Jones, from Big Michael Lee, from Big I got that from Big Keith George, Big Jonathan. These, I mean, there's so many I can name. I mean, brothers who really had hands. My homeboy, the best fight that I ever seen, and I seen a lot of them. Well, there's 3. I'm gonna name 2 of them. The best fight I seen was my homeboy Big Charlie Cat from 5'9", him and Art Louis from Lincoln Park. That was you talking about, I was fascinated with that fight. Yeah. And then another fight that I saw, and this fight made me ashamed to be a 5'9" Brimster. Man, I seen Richard Mays whoop on 4 of the homeboys at one time. I see, hey, homies out there from 5'9", all you brothers are still living. I ain't gonna say your names, but I seen Richard Mays put tips on y'all. I had to stop it. I said, Richard, what's happening, man? It's West Coast. It's West Coast, and Richard Mays was crazy. Yeah. You know, but these are
that was my homie. We grew up together. These are
the things that I witnessed. I seen my homeboy Brian Jackson from Central City. I seen him and Poochie got down on Ocean View. You know what I'm saying? So I seen how the brothers would take off their jackets, step out in the middle, take off their shirts, step out. And I seen David Pittman. My homeboy David Pittman, I seen him and Munton get down at Ocean View Park.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Knocking folks out. Yeah. So let me read some more. This Titus Fisher, he said we all definitely took pride in our dress code back then. Big Chini, Top Cat, and TK is who I patterned my dress code. And I think he said some more after. Then Carl Fisher. He said, damn, Richard Mays. You sure brought up a name. Richard was crazy. And see, with me, me and Richard, we all grew up together. I mean, way back when we were little kids, lived in the hood, you know, and then went back to the coast and stuff. So, you got a lot of people. We grew up fighting each other, wrestling and stuff like that all the time. So it was nothing.
But you got a lot of people that don't know those names. You got a lot of people that don't know. Yeah. They don't even know. A lot of people don't even know that Big Kabili was originally from West Coast.
Who?
Big Kabili. Remember Kabili? He stayed right on 33rd on the other side.
Going towards, but yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of names.
Right. And you know, one of the things I was talking with Levert, I know you know Levert.
Yeah, Mr. Levert.
We were talking one time, there's a big Levert, and because we grew up together, so we know all the same people, right? But there's a lot of people he was knowing, and I wasn't knowing and remembering. I was like, I said, hey, Levert, I said, there's a lot of people you know, and they know me, but I don't know them. And he said, Corey, you got to remember, you was whacked out most of the time. So in my mind,
and
I stayed wet. So
I know, but I never used the moniker. But when I first met you, it was Wacky Corn, and we knew why. And you was big, and you had the brim on, and you used to have the jeans with, and you was good with yours too. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I'm just saying, but I just remember those times. They were just such beautiful times, my brother. You know what I mean? And back in those days, people didn't get killed. I'm going to emphasize that. People did not get killed.
And every now and then you'll have some of the guys, they're a little younger, but they kind of coming out of the gang stuff and trying to, help with things. Every now and then when because I've heard one time there's some youngsters shooting at each other, and the big homies from each side got together and said, "No, man, we ain't gonna do that." And they took them apart and let them fight it out. Said, and after this, it's done with. And I said, "Hey, I'm against violence, but I'd rather see them fight each other.
I'd rather see them fight and shoot each other,
shooting and killing each other." You know what I mean?
But
and
you know what?
I think we got enough people to really, make an impact in our communities with the younger generation to make a difference versus what we had when we were coming up. Go ahead. Right. I'm sorry.
No. You made a good. I was gonna. You basically said what I was about to say. We're on the same wavelength. We're on the same platform. Right. But my thing is, when I hear about gang violence now, it literally disappoints me. I don't get mad. I get disappointed. I'm like, oh, come on, not another young brother. For what?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And there's still a phenomenon that's going on that we have to address. You still got some on both sides. Well, no, Bishop, you still got some brothers my age and older that's still doing this to them little brothers.
That's what Chuck was saying. I think Chuck was saying it when we was with Kukud. He came in on one of the things. That's what Charles was saying. The same thing, man.
You know what I mean?
That's what I hear, man.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but those brothers, they need to be weeded out. Why? Because they're undermining our efforts. We're trying to get these kids. We're trying to stop them from killing each other. But then you got a brother who's a double OG, a triple OG. His mind might be it ain't might be. His mind is messed up where he's still pushing the line and calling the line on these little brothers. Dude, what are you doing? You 55, 56, 57. Why are you still directing these young brothers out here to go out here and do harm to one another? It just doesn't make sense. And those are the brothers that I would like to address, even with a heads up.
Yeah, exactly. So let me give some more comments. Bobby Locker said Kabili was Majodi's brother. And Charles said, Corn, you used to wear a vest with a khaki suit. and Kabili stayed around the corner from 4-Eye Dock with the Doberman Pinchers.
Yes.
And Bobby Locker said Kabili had the standoff with the police at Mountain View Park.
Yeah, he had to stand off with the police at Ocean View Park. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Kabili used to date my aunt. He was my uncle. You know what I mean? And Kabili would always wear a blue rag in his shirt pocket up here. But Kabili also used to grow weed in his backyard. So back in the days, I go to Kabili house, knock on the door. What's up, young Mike? I say, what's happening? And back in those days, the Voodoo Kings and the Cobra Club was really cracking at that time. So I go with Kabili's. I knock on the door, man. Kabili give me a big bag of that commercial weed. You know what I mean? And I go somewhere, me, the young brother P Knuckle, a couple of other brothers from the coast. We go sit right up there at Memorial Park and get us a gang of zigzags and just roll joints, and then go off to a party later on that day and just sell the joints for $2 a joint. Kabili used to do that. Kabili he was the type of brother. Kabili was just solid, but he was also a no nonsense brother.
Gotcha.
Kabili was also a no nonsense brother. You know what I mean? Kabili is one of those brothers, and I think I'm kind of the same way. I'm either going to be your best friend or your worst enemy. And Kabili is one of those brothers, you don't want to be his worst enemy, because the contacts that he had back in those days, you know what I'm saying? He can push a button. Yeah. You know what I mean? Real good. And I loved him to death. You know what I'm saying? Him and all his brothers. As a matter of fact, his younger brother Tango ended up being from 5'9". Big Tango, the boxer.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, and it's just, you know, amazing because you mentioned Smokey and Michael. We was, you know, they was from the other side over there, but we was all close, right? Because we all went to school together, you know, worked summer jobs together, and the whole shebang. You know? And so like I don't know who I was talking with, but like we said before, you know, we all are the same, really. You know, they're, you know, and our love for each other should grow on down and reach to the younger generation, right? Where that we can really make an impact on them. But it does take a mindset, a change of mindset. And if we coming up against what you saying, what Chuck was saying, I hear other homies saying it as far as these older guys influencing these youngsters to do a lot of things that they're doing, right? And so we've got to get in that mindset. So in our closing, unless you have some other things to say, just give us some final words, closing words, some encouraging words, or things where we can go from here, man.
Well,
I know you shared a lot already.
Well, you know, well, one thing about me is because I've been in this fight for so long, I have a lot to say. You know,
that's right. That's
you know,
right.
you know, we can do this for another couple of hours. But my thing is, my thing is, we still have to weed out. And I'm gonna say this: there's some brothers our age, like I said, and I'm gonna reiterate this. But there's still some brothers our age that's out there pushing the line on them youngsters, man. You know, and like I said about 10 minutes ago, it's undermining some of our efforts. Because we gonna tell the young brother, nah, young brother, there's something better for your life. You need to redirect how you think. There's, you know, and this one thing that I tell the brothers, I say, when you go to jail, and I told my homeboy Smitty Bo this, Johnny Dix, I hope that he comes home. I'm looking forward to that brother, him coming home, Juba, Kanabo, my little homeboy D Nutty. It's a whole lot of homeboys that's in jail right now for murders.
Yeah.
For killing people, representing a bull crap set that don't give a darn about you.
Yeah, that's true, man. That's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? You got brothers who done sacrificed their whole lives in the name of West Coast, neighborhood, 5-9, Lincoln Park, Skyline, Little Africa, Emerald Hills, East Dago, wherever you from. You got a lot of brothers sitting in jail right now, twiddling their thumbs going, what the? And that same brother who's in jail, twiddling their thumbs, there might not be not one or two, there might not be no more than maybe 2 or 3 homeboys that reach out to them. Smitty Bo been locked up for 26 years. I've been taking care of that brother in jail for the whole 26. Why? Because he my homeboy. Juba, certain homies, I to this day, I still would shoot them $20, even if it's just 20 or $30. Right. You know, just to show my commitment, me being they homeboy. But you're not gonna find too many brothers. You're not gonna find too many homies. I had this before I go, and I know we're about to wrap it up. But
take your time, man. Yeah, take your time.
Okay. But
don't feel rushed.
I feel you. Thank you, Bishop. But I always tell the brothers, and I got a couple of brothers that I'm writing right now in prison, and one female, my little homegirl Fergie. And I always write them, and at the end, I always add a PS. Like, what has any of the homeboys from the set done for you lately?
Amen.
And you doing time behind something that you believed in, West Coast, whatever, Lincoln Park, wherever, Pyru, wherever you was from. You doing time for this bull crap concept and lifestyle and belief system that didn't do anything but take your life away from you and take you away from your loved ones.
Amen.
And that has to stop, my brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I appreciate that, man. And we got a lot of stuff coming up, man. And one of the things we for sure want to do is, you know, we had our little campaign, and we're gonna continue on our No Shots Fired campaign, trying to like have these conversations about nonviolence conversations, right? Especially that our specific focus is gun violence, right? And of course knives too, but gun violence, because that kills people. And versus, the knuckles and, using your hands and all of that, I'm not encouraging that, but what we're saying is like, let's start right here and we can work ourselves down. But if we can just all agree, for a season and a time to, let's just take a break from this stuff, think about it. And hopefully when we think about it and really, in our mind, look and see what we're doing and realize like, what am I doing here? And what am I fighting over? Like Levert said, a lot of us don't own nothing, the stuff that we claim, and we need to be fighting for these governments and the system that do owe us, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Reparations and everything else for the
Yes,
time
sir.
our
Yes, sir.
people been over here. That's what we need to be like, flipping the system to make it work for us, because we built this country.
Yes,
and
sir.
they want us to focus on us, right?
Yes, sir.
And on ourselves, to kill each other and fight each other and hate each other and things like that, while they continue to benefit off of everything through the prisons. Don't you know, when one person get killed, it can cost up to $1.2 million when you look at it, from the time they're going to the hospital, the ambulance service, and then when they arrest someone and prosecuting that person, sending them to prison and everything else. They calculated this and several research, and it's $1 million to $2 million per killing. That's the kind of money that they're making off of us, right? And when you look at Black people in America, 50% of the homicides are Black people, right? We only make up 13% of the population. And so these are things. And so what's going on in San Diego is going on everywhere. And it's even worse in a lot of other places, right? And so, but our focus is right here. Charity begins at home, this spreads abroad. And so our focus is right here in San Diego. And my thing is I appreciate you for coming on and for sharing what you're sharing and these stories and things like that, because my thing is that I believe it can start right here, right now, right? With us having these conversations. Hopefully folks can send these Facebook live streams, and I have a podcast. It's going to be on YouTube and on my podcast page and so on, where we can share it and tell some of these youngsters, man, listen to this, man, listen to this. These folks used to fight and shoot and kill each other. You lost homeboys to the coast lost homeboys to the Brims and so on and on and never end. But what do we gain? What do we been? We have broken hearts, crying moms and dads and siblings and so on. That's heartbroken, that's traumatized, that's messed up. The system making millions and millions of dollars. And then we lose the one die and the other one go to prison for the rest of their lives or however long they're gone and so on. And the community is hurting. Then they look and say, where are the fathers, where are the men, and so on. And so we got to start having some hard, like what you're talking today, we got to start having some hard and tough conversations. And we got to start those whoever they call themselves, OGs or whatever that's out there, the older ones that are out there influencing these younger ones. We got to put them in check. This stuff has got to stop. And we got to start letting these youngsters start getting some skills to be able to sit down and have some dialogue and conversation and learn how to like broker peace, right? You know how to do everything else. Let's see if you can broker some peace, and you can sit down with your enemy and look him in the eye and realize, man, this is foolish what we're doing. Let's work it out. If they can do it, drop nuclear bombs on each other around this world and then make peace treaties. And so we can do the same thing. But remember, nobody's going to do it for us but us, because they want us to kill each other. They want us to stay focused on, and I'm about that too, protesting against the police and racism and things like that while we're still killing each other. And so I believe we got to do that, but we got to do this too.
Well, you just taught me something, because I didn't realize that they were monetizing and profiting off Black deaths the way that you just explained it to me. I had no idea. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And when you say, and when you speak on brokering peace, brothers and sisters that's listening, we got to broker peace within our families. We have to, one of the biggest problems plaguing Southeast San Diego and the Black communities around the world right now is absentee fathers. It's us, Cornelius, it's Black men. We have to step up. When you look at what's going on right now in this political world, it's these Black sisters that's stepping up.
That's right.
It's these sisters that's out there really, they're the face. They have to.
They
They're the
release
faces.
church everywhere.
They're the faces of the fight right now. And what does that say about us as a whole, as Black men? We know the police want to gun us down, but every once in a while, I'm an advocate for. Sometimes you got to fight fire with fire when it comes to that, not against our own people.
Right. Exactly, man.
And you got to be willing to die for something. And I know one of these days I'm gonna lay down. I'm gonna die standing up like I'm gonna die standing up like a real man. You know, they're not gonna put me on my knees, put a gun to my head, and then I'm gonna be sitting up there begging for my life. It's gonna be, you know what? This is my belief systems. This is what I believe in, and I'm trying to pass that. I'm trying to pass those positive affirmations on to my people, and for all of you people that are against us for trying to uplift our people, then F you.
Right.
That's just where I'm at with it.
Man. And you know, one of the things I think about what you're saying, I appreciate what you're saying too, man. Let's keep it real. Appreciate that. And you know, one of the things that as you're speaking about the fathers and stuff, and I don't know if people realize it, and I try to post stuff all the time, but when you look at Black men in prison in America, there are more Black men in prison in America than there are women of every race in prison around the world, right? There's more Black men in prison right here in America, right? One out of 15 children have a parent locked up of all the races, but then it's like 1 out of 40 1 out of 40 when you look at all the other races, and then it's 1 out of 15 when you look at the Black. We have, I think it's said the other way, it's more Black folks that have parents that are locked up than any other race. And so when you talk about the family, and that's the key, and we got to understand how the system and how these folks are trying to do it from the perspective of trying to destroy the Black family, and we got to understand it. We got to stand on that. We got to stop all this stuff, because they just make tougher and tougher laws on us, and as people get mad at me sometimes, because I even call out parents that's trying to promote this banging stuff. Man, you got to stop that stuff. You know, we should be and the OG, whoever the big homies, where they got to stop that stuff. We got to come together. And I call on these organizations that's out there. You know, you're dealing with everything else. We need to start coming together and speaking out against violence in our community.
And
closing words? You got the last word, my brother.
Well, you know what? The last word is this. You know, Father God. You know, we thank you for Bishop Browser. And we thank you, Father God, for his platform, his wisdom, and for being able to do this for us, so we can get our voices out to, you know, the masses and to the people. So me, myself, Bishop, I you know, nothing but the utmost love and respect. If you ever need me, I'm there for you.
Call on you.
Yeah, call on me. I'm gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? And and when I come, you know, I'm coming with the utmost respect. I'm coming with the utmost integrity. You know what I mean? And you know, and like I said, I don't sugarcoat nothing. So my last word,
right.
You know, I just want, my last word is, I just want Black men to start stepping up and being responsible for their families and for their children. And for their women, even if you're not with your baby's mother, establish some type of relationship with that sister, and come to grounds, you know what I'm saying, on behalf of that seed that you two made together, and let's start raising some reputable, some educated, very strong young Black men and women. You know, so I appreciate you. I appreciate this platform, and I really, really do appreciate you for having me on, big bro. Real talk.
All right, that's a wrap, and thank you all for tuning in to Slow Motion with Bishop Bowser, and we have Brother Michael Singletary sharing the story, and we're going to continue to have these stories. We got some more shows coming up, especially on Sunday. Baby Kev, Kevin Williams is going to be on and share his story. He has a powerful and a unique story. And,
tell Baby Kev I said what's happening, man. That's Baby Mr. Henderson.
Yeah, we'll do. Kevin Williams, and so we're gonna, Kevin Williams. So we're gonna have him on Sunday, Lord's will, and he goes his story. He has a powerful story, because you know, he went to NFL, came from the streets banging, and then like you, went and played a little football, and then went to college, and then went to the pros, man, and you know, and still kept it real. You talked to him today, you know, he still keep it real. He ain't changed for nobody with all everything that he's been through. So we're going to have him on, and on Sunday. And like I said, you know, we want to get a lot of folks. So I want to have a panel discussion where we can really get down and talk about this some more, because this is what I'm about. I love my community. I love my people. Sometimes I come a little hard, but it's not out of hate. It's out of love, and it's out of what we see and what we deal with. All right, Facebook, we're going to go ahead and close this out and stop this live stream.
Oh, another
God
thing. Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Be looking out for my
Go ahead.
Be looking out for my food truck, Spicy Mike's Tap In Comfort Grub. Look out for my food truck. That's coming out.
That's
and
right.
If you need help with your credit, if you need your credit score boosted or any of those type of things, get at me. You know what I'm saying? I can help you establish credit and help you regain your financial freedom. That'll work. Hey, man, that'll work. That's what we need, right? All right. God bless you guys. And we'll see you again, Lord.